Welcome back. In this video, on the whole subject of how the illusion you're experiencing is generated and how it works, we're looking at the subject of, relatively speaking, good and bad experiences. I say relatively speaking because it sometimes turns out that what you call a good experience is not so helpful, or what you might have termed a bad experience is in fact extremely useful and good to have. So it's a very mixed up subject, and quite how you interpret this is really up to you. We're just going to go through how it's done and what's going on. So to just put some simplistic guidelines onto it, what you might call a good experience is one where you feel yourself to be happy, feel like you're having a good time, things are going pretty much your own way. And on the other hand, the bad experiences are very much along the lines of things where stuff is happening to you that you think you didn't want. It may be actually you did want it at some other higher level, but down here you'll certainly think you didn't want it, and you'll have no recollection of really choosing it. So if someone annoyingly says to you, you chose to have that experience, well, at that level, this level, you really didn't. You're having it. That choice was made elsewhere in the system. Let's notice a few of the parameters between the two. When we're in what we call a good experience, we might have a lot of appreciation for what's going on. We might say, this is wonderful. Thank you for letting me have this experience. Conversely, if we're in what we call a bad experience, you might be sending another message upstairs to say, why have you dropped me in all of this nonsense? Why are you putting me through all of this pain? I think in Jesus on the cross was rumored to have said, Father, why hast thou forsaken me? In other words, why has the godly higher part of what you are then given, in this case, Jesus, a bad experience of being nailed up to a cross, because it's all very painful and not a pleasant way to die. So realize there are these two possibilities. Those are the basic parameters. But to get into the experience a bit more, see it as more like a movie. And in that movie, we're going through ups and downs. The movie, if it was a flat line of straightforward, bland events, would be extremely dull. And to make it interesting, you put in lots of ups and downs, successes and failures. Therefore, there have to be what you call good moments and bad moments of the whole thing. That's the very nature of keeping it interesting. Let's go into the next bit of this one. People are very afraid of what they call bad experiences. But in fact, the bad experiences are often what stimulate you relatively more. And this might sound bizarre, what I'm going to say now, but I'd like you to take it on board. One of the challenges of being in the human world is you've lost the ability to make use of the good experiences. Let me expand on this. Good experiences often put you into a kind of sleep state. A sleep state where you're not really paying attention anymore. You're just drifting along. If you were making use of that sleep state to wake up again, if you were making use of the good experience to wake up again, you'd get a higher connection. But strangely enough, good experiences are very often not doing that, or at least so infrequently it's not happening nearly enough. So what's going on with you is that when you are having the good experiences, you're not making enough use of them. You're not learning to choose and build upon them enough of the time. So what happens? What's the natural consequence of this? You already understand the answer to that before I even said these words. This means that you end up requiring more of what we call bad experiences. Experiences you'll say you didn't want. In these so-called bad experiences, you then tend to wake up more. You start paying attention more. you make that higher connection and you pay attention to what you really are. You pay attention to the fact that you are this light being. You are part of this godly oneness. And when you're paying attention to that, then you start steering the experience. So what you often refer to as bad experiences are helping you awaken. The pain, the suffering, the distress, the feeling that things have gone off course somehow are actually what you need to remind you to connect up properly. To connect up properly and change what's going on. Because in those bad experiences, you're wanting to get out of them. You're wanting to make a modification. You're wanting to make an improvement. And that was what was driving you forward. So by comparison, in the good experience, you're often saying it's so nice, you're just falling asleep within it and failing to build upon that good experience. You're failing to choose to do more of it, to have more fun within it. So therefore, let's make more use of those bad experiences. Because if we make enough use of them, we will then realize how we can build upon the good experiences a lot better. We will be remembering how to turn the good experiences into something really nice. And I'll just give you a simple example, your state of health. If you get some kind of upset like a cold or a flu, you will realize that being healthy was a very nice state to be by comparison. The cold or flu is not much fun. That does often work as an excuse to get you out of various things. But nevertheless, you'll realize that being in good health was a nice place to be. And having had the bad experience of a cold or a flu, you'll then be much more open to the good experience of being in that lighter energy flow, keeping your body healthy, keeping your body happy. So bad experiences, the good experiences, are in fact bouncing off each other. And at a higher level, you'll realize that you have designed a system that is creating these two contrasts. It's helping you have an interesting life, an interesting roller coaster. And furthermore, as you spend more time connecting into what you are at a higher level and then looking back down on what you're creating, you'll start to realize that generating challenges for the body below is an enormously beneficial thing. This is what you needed to do. You needed to challenge your body so that it can then move around in an environment that is stimulating it, that is helping it. So the tip for today is, whenever you're having that bad experience, having what you call a bad time, realize that it was a necessary part of what you generated. You can easily go up high, connect into what you are, then look back down and modify the experience. Modify it for something more interesting. Because if you do what's more interesting, you'll then have an experience that keeps you more awake, keeps you more stimulated.